who are you? Sure, you have a name, you know where you live, you know your family and what you do for a living, but who are your ancestors and where do they come from? If you're curious, the means to answer those questions could be closer than you think. Jennie Kemp is here from the Tuscaloosa Public Library to tell me more about it. Jennie, it's good to see you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Now, you have a very interesting job, I think. You get to hang out and talk with people about their family and then find out where everybody eventually came from.
I do indeed. You never know until we start digging. Tuscaloosa was very much a central hub for transportation, and so I get to deal with folks who may live around Tuscaloosa. I've also been contacted by people as far away as Australia and in the Netherlands in the last, say, 6 months, looking for their ancestors or looking for, in the case of the guy from Holland, it was a soldier that had died that was from Tuscaloosa. So I always say it is more about, well, we start with the birth and when they died, when they were married. In exploring that, you discover the stories. You discover who you were like, what features that you take after that ancestor. If you ever start, I say it's easy to get hooked. Many a genealogist has said that I'll get on the computer and I'll start working at 10 o'clock and I'll work for an hour and they'll look up and it's 2 or 3 in the morning.
Uh-oh. It just sucks the day away.
It sucks the day away, absolutely.
Now humor me for a moment. I remember back, and I may be a little older than you, or a lot older than you, but not as old as Arthur. No one's as old as Arthur. We're kidding. Back when the internet first came out, I remember AOL. There was all sorts of genealogy software that you could buy, and people were using the internet to find common ancestry, and people were sending all these emails back and forth to each other. You know, I'm a Salter from Connecticut. Do you know such and such Salter, and that kind of stuff. Is that kind of how this works? Or I know you guys have special equipment in the library, records and stuff for use.
That's how it started.
Right.
Now what we are seeing are municipalities. We are seeing different organizations such as Ancestry.com and the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints, who are digitizing official records. They are digitizing marriage records and birth records, and they are digitizing wills. So we do at the library, we subscribe to Ancestry.com. You may have seen that advertised on television. If you use it at home, you have to pay for it. If you come to see us, we have 2 computers that are dedicated to genealogy that you can use it for free. We also subscribe to a site called Heritage Quest, which is a library-only site. That site, if you have a library card with the Tuscaloosa Public Library, you can use at home. And that gives you access to things like census records. Census records are one of the first places I always start, whether I'm doing my own research or whether or not I'm starting with someone who's new to it, because they're sometimes the easiest. The 1940 census is the most recently released federal census. By federal law, censuses are only allowed to be released every 72 years.
Wow.
So just this past a year ago, in April of 2012, we had that 1940. It was a...
Yay, the census is out. I can just imagine.
But people, there were a lot of people. The 1940 census was an important time because we had come through the Great Depression.
Right.
We had had all of the migration that took place, and we were about to go into the Second World War.
Right.
And one of the great things the 1940 census asked was, where were you living in 1935? So if someone shows up in 1930 and they were in Tuscaloosa, and then they show up in 1940 and they're in California, that 1940 is going to say, well, in 1935 they were still in Tuscaloosa, so we know that they moved from Tuscaloosa to California between 1935 and 1940. It narrows down that time frame, makes it a little easier to research records.
Jennie, fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for being with us today. You can find out more about the Tuscaloosa Public Library by calling 205-345-5820 or online at tuscaloosa-library.org. Well,